Hello YouTubers, my name is Frederick Lopez and this is an all-new Binge Reviews. I just binge watched Reina Del Sur, also known as Queen of the South, the telenovela that aired in 2011 on Telemundo. It is the basis for the USA show The Queen of the South, and it is also based on a novel of the same name, Queen of the South, by Arturo Perez Reverte, who also wrote the book for what later on was the film The Ninth Gate starring Johnny Depp. Yeah, they're throwing around ideas for a movie with Eva Mendes as the role of Teresa Mendoza. That fell through, but Kate Del Castillo ended up being the role of Teresa Mendoza in the telenovela, and the author had a hand in picking her. So yeah, who stars in Queen of the South and what is it about? La Reina del Sur stars Kate Del Castillo as Teresa Mendoza, Rafael Amaya as Guerrero, Cristina Urgel as Patricia O'Farrell, Ivan Sanchez as Santiago, Humberto Zurita as Epifanio Vargas, Alberto Jimenez as Oleg, Miguel de Miguel as Teo, Salvador Zerboni as Ratas, Eduardo Velasco as the Colonel, Christian Tapan as Willie. And the story starts with Teresa Mendoza. Her boyfriend gets shot and killed. He's basically a drug trafficker. And it's the local mafia he's with, the cartel he's with in Mexico, and they want to kill her. So they kill all her friends and everybody that they knew. And he has this ledger that pretty much ensures her safety. Anyway, Vargas, who's pretty much the godfather of that area, offers her protection but says you need to run for your life. So he offers her safe sanction to Spain, and it's pretty much her running from her life in Mexico with everybody wanting her dead. Her boyfriend gets killed, violently murdered, and they want to kill her next. And it's basically her trying to leave the past, trying to live in Spain. She ends up working at like a nightclub for a short period of time. And that's one thing I like about this, is that this show really goes over the course of many years. And she's very innocent at the beginning. She's kind of thrown into this world. She was aware of the world, but she wasn't really actively involved in the world. And now that she's in this drug world, she's just thrown in there trying to survive under just really, really horrible circumstances. Like everything just happens, one thing after another just happens to Teresa Mendoza. And we get to see her journey of just being a regular person in Spain and then rising as one of the top drug kingpins in the area and pretty much the world. She ends up later on going to prison, having another husband before something violently happens to him. She meets Patricia O'Farrell, who's pretty much this rich woman in Spain, and they create a drug empire, and it's pretty much the start of their empire. And I like that. Now, does it have any novella moments? Yes, it is. It does have novella moments. It is a telenovela. But it is a very edgier novella than what you're expecting. It's been dubbed in the genre of narco novella, and this is kind of what started it all, really. You had other shows, you had the remake on USA, but this one, even though it does have telenovela moments that USA audiences could be kind of thrown out of, it is a grounded show, and something about having less is more. In a way, even though they don't show as much content, it's a lot more violent than the American version, and I really love La Reina del Sur. I mean, this telenovela is just captivating storytelling, and Kate Del Castillo just does a fantastic job as Teresa Mendoza. She really makes this telenovela. You get to see her as a kind of an innocent girl when she was younger, how she's thrown into this. You get to see her struggle under just horrible circumstances, and over the course of the show you get to see how strong she becomes. It's like what you see in Godfather with Michael Corleone, or like Walter White from the beginning of Breaking Bad to the end. Same thing with this show with Teresa Mendoza. You get to see how she doesn't really want to be actively involved in the world she's in, but through bad circumstances she is forced to be in this world, and she does what she does best, and it's just fantastic. It's also kind of great to see how she meets different characters in different moments of her life. It really is like a book. Unlike American shows that just kind of keep going and going, a telenovela is basically like a novel. A novella has a beginning, middle, and an end, and it really does build up to a brilliant end game. It is 63 episodes long, and yeah, they're about almost like 36 to maybe like 45 minutes long. They kind of vary depending on what's going on in the story. So it starts in Mexico, and then you get to see her on the run. And it starts off kind of slow. It's kind of like basic everyday stuff until she gets thrown into the world of the drugs, of trafficking, and smuggling. And you get to see her second boyfriend, Santiago. She has a third boyfriend later named Teo. You get to see her deal with the Russians. You have different factions. You have like the French mob, the Colombians, the Russians, the Mexican cartel, the Italians. It's just amazing. I really like the global aspect of the show, of how she starts off as a small-time person and then ends up rising to be one of the most prominent drug kingpins in the world. And it's just fantastic. And then it's nice how it ties into the story that was started on the show. Everything comes full circle by the end of it. So yeah, American audiences, you may be familiar with this, with the Queen of the South on USA. If you haven't seen a novella before or haven't seen the original version of this, I would highly recommend it. La Reina del Sur is such a fantastic novella. It has all the right amount of action, captivating story, drama, the acting, the romance. It just has everything. It's just a captivating story, really, from beginning, middle, and end. And sure, there is some slow parts, but you get to see some cool elements in like the crime underworld, DEA agents, corruption in both like the criminal underworld and with the police, and just all around this character of Teresa Mendoza, how she rises in power. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. If you haven't seen a novella, I would definitely check this out. Has elements of a regular novella, but the action and everything with the score and music just has that kind of like Robert Rodriguez El Mariachi Desperado vibe to it in a way. Like it really does. And all the actors do a fantastic job. I like the character of Batman, how he's dressed like all in black. That's funny. And then Ratas is just batshit crazy. Looks like younger Mickey Rourke. And then Willie, the DEA agent, does a good job. He's kind of there at the beginning, but not as much until like the end. And then Vargas is great. He reminds me of William Dafoe in Once Upon a Time Mexico. But Teresa Mendoza, Patty in this, they are great. And yeah, Teresa Mendoza is just one fierce woman who I would not want to mess with. But it's great seeing somebody who's very assertive, very strong, and her deal with the circumstances of life. So I would give La Reina del Sur an A. It is a really, really great show. If you have never seen a novella, I would highly recommend checking it out. If you have seen the show on USA and you want to see what the original is, I definitely would recommend checking this out. It's a pretty enjoyable novella, but you do need some time. But it is one to watch on like a binge marathon, which I did over the weekend. I watched all 63 episodes. And yeah, it has a good flow to it. It really kind of keeps you hooked. Like a good book where you read the chapter. It's like a good book where you read the chapter and you just want to keep reading to see what happens. It's exactly like that. So yeah, it's great to see a show that has a beginning, middle, and end, like other novellas. And I kind of wish American shows would borrow that element and have like a full sense of where they're going, because this one really pays off with all the loose ends tied up to a really satisfying conclusion. So yeah, La Reina del Sur, I give an A. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend checking it out. And yeah, if you liked the video, click the like button, comment, and subscribe for more videos.